Hi, welcome to week one of Working with Difference. I'm Keir Williams.
And I'm Dave Jarman.
And today we're going to do a brief introduction to ourselves and the unit. So just give me a second to get our shared screen on. Okay, screen one. Yo. Okay, can we see that?
I can see your desktop.
Oh,
there it is.
Well, yeah, have we got it?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so Working with Difference. First of all, welcome. Really excited to virtually meet all of you next week. This unit this year is working with past, present and futures unit. It's on the same, on a shared project. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. But working with difference, we are going to focus on how we work and develop value for other people in teams. And particularly for us in cross-disciplinary or transdisciplinary teams. One of the exciting things about this Masters is the backgrounds you guys are coming from in terms of disciplines, in terms of experiences, in terms of countries. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I think this thing about working with people who are not like ourselves, that's really critical. So the different disciplines that you bring, the people that you're meeting throughout this project, the things that you're going to be trying to explain and collaborate to build for people in a way to create value. So it's other people and doing a thing that creates value. That's what this kind of unit encapsulates.
Okay, so first off, when are we actually going to see you and when are we going to work with you? So I'm going to leave this one to Dave.
Yeah, so we're going to hopefully see you a couple of times a week once we get going. So after the 19th of October, there will be an opportunity to have face-to-face classes. And that session is on a Monday between 12 and 1. And that will be an opportunity to either kind of work in teams once those are sort of set up and you're working on the project, or to work through the asynchronous material that we're setting you ahead of class, but to do that in the company of your fellow students and in the company of myself and Keir, if you've got any kind of questions about the work. However, the key class each week is the online class on a Tuesday afternoon between 2 and 4. And this has a couple of components to it. One is that we'll be setting you these challenges and we'll be facilitating those challenges. So we'll be explaining what you need to do each week and helping you work your way through it. But there will also be time for you to be able to work as a team, to work on a project. In addition to that, we're also every week going to be setting you something that you need to watch or to read before you come to the class by way of some kind of content that we can then discuss in the class. So you do need to do that so that you're ready for class when it happens. We're also going to be asking you to reflect each week as well. And we'll say a little bit more about how that builds into an assessment as we go forward. But each week we need you to be thinking about what you're doing, how you're doing it, how it might be done differently, how it might be done better. And that act of reflection you'll see is a really critical part of this unit, this teaching block. So remember, Mondays face-to-face, particularly for those of you that are in Bristol. Those of you who are not in Bristol will be able to join that remotely. But equally, if you find yourself shielding or similar, you'll still be able to kind of join in, but it will have to be remote. The key thing is the Tuesday afternoon class. Hopefully this is all time that you are scheduled to be together. So you've also got the guaranteed option of finding the rest of your team online at that time so that you can get work done together. So each week, stuff to watch, stuff to talk about, a challenge to work on, and an act of reflection. And
just to say on the Tuesday, we're going to talk about this in a minute, but we're going to be meeting in a video chat room called Collaborate. I'm going to just about to talk about that now. So just really briefly, we think it's important that if we're teaching you, you should know who we are a bit. So my background is as an artist, researcher, and as an educator. I'm dyslexic, I have ADHD, which partly have made me what I am and partly made things difficult in some ways, but they are me. So as an artist, I work with groups of people to develop structures to play in, to be educated in, to be amazed by. Recently, I've worked up in the Arctic on a project working giant disused fish oil factory. I've also worked with local musicians, Methodist preachers, break dancers, reggae artists, a broad range of people. So in my research, I do something similar. My PhD was in computer science, and I worked with as a teaching assistant for 4 years in a special needs school, looking at how we use and design media in a classroom. Here, I'm a senior lecturer, and my focus in my teaching is on how we conduct research and work with people to develop value with a focus on play and joy, I would say. Cool. And if you want to find out more, email, website, go and have a look. Oh, and if you can find me dressed up as Mariah Carey, I'll give you a chocolate.
But you may not be able to erase the image.
Never.
Just to warn you.
Never.
I can't. So you will have met me a little bit already because I've done the kind of the PGT induction as your kind of program director. However, what's kind of particularly relevant to this unit is, so my academic background was initially in English literature and classics. I've got a master's degree in mythology, of all things, which makes me qualified to set pub quizzes and probably not much else. But I'm interested in stories. I'm interested in the stories that we tell about why we're allowed to do things and not allowed to do things, and why things are the way they are and why they might be different. What I've also done is I spent a chunk of my career helping people start things. And one of the things that hopefully I bring to this unit is that you are trying to create value for people. You are trying to take a set of ideas and use that to create value for others. Now, that idea of creating value in different ways and forms, that's really interesting to me. So hopefully what I'll be helping you with on this unit is turning your ideas, turning your concepts into things of value that look like other people would want them. They can be done, they've got some degree of sustainability too. You can find out more about me and my work by emailing me, or there's my personal link to my website down below as well.
And I'd recommend watching his TEDx talk, it's brilliant. One thing I just wanted to point out is that we come from hugely different backgrounds in terms of professional practice, in terms of the way we work, right? We did very different masters, we've done very different PhDs, but we have a lot in common in terms of the way that we work and in terms of the kind of things that we are keen to pursue in terms of teaching and development of our students, right? This is a model of how we want you to work. You're going to have accountants, I don't know, we haven't met you yet, but you know, last year we had engineers, lawyers, architects, scientists, biologists, and it's that mix, right? That ability to mix your disciplines and the ability to mix your ways of working that is a strength. So one of the things that I brought up there was the fact that I have ADHD and the fact that I have dyslexia. And you'll see through some of the teaching we do that I see that as a strength as much as a problem, right? So the thing that I really want to take from this is that we embrace diversity as a strength, and particularly in innovation and entrepreneurship, whether that's in terms of gender, ideas, race, whatever. Every single person has something to contribute. So that being said, where we could actually work together. So a couple of photos from the real centre there. So our main site is Blackboard, right? Not the most eloquent, but nice and simple. Blackboard has all the content for every week. And if you see my lovely little GIF I made on the right, if you click on weeks 1 to 6, all the content will be there. If you click on the unit guide, you can get your unit guide, your assignments, everything will be there. If all goes wrong, and this is the only site you can get onto, you're going to be fine. Now, on Blackboard, and we'd advise you just go and log in and have a little look around. It's really worthwhile getting used to it. It's going to be using this a lot. Collaborate. So Collaborate is our main video meeting room. We literally, each week, we will meet in our course room, okay? The way you do that is very simply, you click Collaborate in Blackboard and Collaborate will load, and you go to the course room, okay? We may split off into subgroups. You may have your own team Collaborate rooms, but each week we'll meet there so we know where everyone is. Okay. Mural. So Mural's basically an online whiteboard that you can access without having to sign in or set up an account. You can set up an account, which allows you to do a bit more. But what we've done is each week, all the materials that are on Blackboard will be on a mural. Mural allows us to structure the content. If you can see on the right here, when you click on a button on the outline, it will tell you to the section you need to be doing. So for example, adding your blogs. It allows us to add resources and videos like this. And it allows you to add post-its for discussion. and your own resources. You're also going to get a team mural board, which will be just for your team to work on. Each week, you'll go to your board, you'll do some stuff, and you'll take a screenshot to show what you've done. The reason we've kind of brought this in is we're going to be working in a blended manner. Some people are going to be here, some people are going to be remote, but we want everyone to be able to work together physically, because using Post-its and bits of paper and being able to move things is really important in the way we work. It's not just talking, although talking is obviously essential. Okay. Working with difference, you've got 2 assignments. Okay, it's all over one teaching block. We have a group produced resource and an individual reflective analysis. The individual reflective analysis is based on what you're going to be doing in the group produced resource, and we'll talk about that. But we're really excited this year. This is the 2nd year we've worked with the university's Bristol's theatre collection. Now, theatre collection is one of the best theatre collections of British live art and theatre in the entire world, second only to the V&A in London. They're just the best at everything, you know. We're also working with a partner in Dame Emily in City Fellow Ben Carpenter, who is a youth worker in South Bristol in a very deprived area, which is where he grew up, and he has created a lot of kind of community grassroots-led projects. So he's going to be our informer about a location where we're going to be doing our work, and the theatre collection is going to be our source. So what are we doing? Well, very simply, the theatre collection have chosen 10 objects and artefacts. Each one represents either a performance or a set of performances. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to do research on that artefact. You're going to do that in past, present, and futures, which leaves us time to build and create something. So what we do, we're going to take that artefact, we're going to take our research, and we're going to think about how we can be inspired by that object, inspired, so it doesn't have to be direct, it can be a long creative process, to create an experience for people in Dame Emily Park. Dame Emily Park is a park in South Bristol. It has a big skateboard area. It's got a long history of kind of various sound systems, protests, music, parties, events, civic stuff, right? We want you, for your output, to create a giant poster with a set of very simple instructions that gets visitors in the park to have an experience, right? So start with your object, you do some research on it, you develop an experience, and then we place it in the park. Now, you might be thinking, I have absolutely no idea how to do any of that whatsoever, right? A, you do, and there will be many skills that you have that will help structure this, but B, we're giving you the structure here. We're not expecting you to come in as fully developed designers, right? Or experienced designers. That's why we're here.
And essentially, you're going to learn through the doing. That's
Exactly.
the critical thing. This is experiential learning. We're going to give you something to think about. We're going to give you an audience to think about, and you're going to try and take that thing to that audience and create value for them. That's the critical bit. So even if actually you are thinking, well, I'm a commercial entrepreneur, well, that's what commercial entrepreneurs do. They create value for people.
Yeah.
So this is a process of just thinking about how you communicate something, how you understand an audience, and how you articulate that idea to that audience.
Definitely. And what we've done is we've framed this very carefully for you, because the theatre collection is an accredited museum, which means anything that we're going to be showing has to be of a professional standard. So we're going to have a show in the park, which will be our posters. And then we're going to have a show in the actual collection itself, which will detail the work we've done and present the documentation of your experiences. So this has to be really good. So in terms of guests, we're going to have an expert on experience design, so creating artworks for communities. We've got an expert in Ben Carpenter, who knows the demographic you're producing for and the location. We've got experts in the theatre collection, June Warren, who's going to be talking to you and working with you on the research process. We have us. So we both have lots of experience in developing projects and working with people. I've developed quite a lot of art pieces that are public and that involve instruction, so that helps. We have Don, who you'll be... Say again, sorry.
I've run a lot of events.
Yeah, exactly, right? So between us, we have a lot of kind of professional skills as well as the academic skills in terms of teaching. The other person we're getting in is Don Parker, who's one of the lecturers at the centre, but he used to develop pervasive games, I think he still does actually, for some of the biggest kind of movie studios in the world. So pervasive games being games that are spread out across the world. There might be treasure hunt style things, but more complicated. He's going to talk to us about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into stages for you. So in stage one, we're going to look at the artifact, we're going to look at our audience, and we're going to look at the location, and we're going to do research. And we're going to give you challenges that are going to frame how you do that research. In the second stage, this poster's from last year, by the way. One of our students did this to advertise the theatre project they did. During the stage project, you'll conduct research and test strategies for engaging your audience, right? So you're going to have to be working with an audience, you have to find out about them, which we have. Then we're going to think about, well, what would engage them? How do we get them to do things? And remembering all you've got is a set of text instructions. Might include a URL, but it's very restricted for a reason. Now, at this point, we're going to ask you to develop I'm just going to go back one, sorry. In week 3, you're going to write a very short proposal which outlines the general area that you're interested in. This is important because we're working with the theatre collection and Ben Carter in a public space. We need to check the area that you are interested in before we can progress. For ethical reasons and just to check and help. So, as I said in stage 2, start to define, but this is the point at the end of week 7, so week 8, you'll present what you want to do for your actual set of instructions in the park. This is going to be to the theatre staff and to Ben Carpenter and to us, because we all have to approve this because it's going to be a public display, okay? Also, it's feedback, which is brilliant, and it makes it better. So I don't want to scare you. I'm sure they'll be brilliant. So finally, you're actually going to develop this. So you're going to work out how you're going to get the posters up, the design of the print. You're going to get a bucket and some paste, and you're going to paste it there. You then need to document this. Unfortunately, your documentation is going to have to be of your group or another group doing the experience due to some restrictions we have at the moment. Ideally, we get you to film young people doing the experience, but it's going to be you. Okay? So finally, we're going to show the work. And we're going to show the work in Dame Emily Park, and we're going to have an exhibition in the actual theatre collection. Unfortunately, at the moment, due to restrictions, only one person can be in the actual exhibition at a time, 2 people building. So what we're going to do is put together some materials and put that exhibition up for you, but you're going to help, right? We're also going to have a celebration, right? We do this kind of work, we're going to bring all of the partners together potentially online, and we're just going to say hello and talk about what we've done. So the second assignment, which is 30%, is an individual project. I'm just going to leave Dave to talk about that, that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have been working as a team to put your exhibition, your materials together. But one of the really important things to us is you showing us individually what you've learned through doing the process. And you making the connections between this task, this assignment as a group, and yourself, and what you want to do, and what you've learned, and what you've developed, and how your practice of being an innovator and an entrepreneur is evolving. So each week we will be giving you some content as a sort of prompt to think about what you could be kind of reflecting on. But actually, the main content is, well, what have you been doing on the project this week? And what has that set up in your head as something that you need to find out more about, or something that you need to do better next time, or something to do more of in the future? And this individual reflective analysis is your chance to talk about the methods, to talk about the process, to talk about working in a team, to connect it back to your own disciplinary knowledge from your undergraduate program maybe, but to try and weave it together for yourself. So you've got your team project, but you've also got this chance to individually shine and individually connect up all of that project with your past experience, your present experience, and your future experience as well. That's what we're looking for.
And the way we set this up, right, is what we don't want to do is in, say, week 10, you suddenly go, oh, I've got to write a reflective account of things I've done, and you write in a day. Because that's not a reflective process. What we've done is we're going to give you small, doable tasks that will build an account for you. And not only is this an assignment, it'll be a record of how you're progressing as an innovator. It's really important we do this. Me and Dave reflect on our practices. Not always as much as we'd like to, but it's a key thing about how we've got where we have. Is we sit and we think about why we do things, how we do things. So
it's a really important
So you will have a blog that you're going to set up as a team on past, present, and futures. That's going to document a lot of this work. The individual blog, though, you need to set up yourself. So you've got your group blogs on past, present, and futures. You're also going to have to set up an individual blog. On Blackboard, we've written some really clear instructions under Sway blogs. Go through them. You're going to create a duplicate of the template we've made. You're going to change the name, and it's going to save it to your personal University Microsoft account. Okay, so we've talked a bit about this and working with difference, past, present, and futures. I think it's important we say it here as well. We are here to structure your learning. We're not here to serve it to you. And this is really important. What we want you to do is to use the activities and the structures and the resources and the knowledge and the people that we're offering you to develop your practice as an innovator and to develop your practice as a group of innovators. That sound fair, Dave?
Absolutely. We are not here to be your educational butlers, serving you the content that you then explain back to us and we just check that you heard it right the first time. Think of this more like gym membership. We have got a whole bunch of equipment, we've got a load of exercises for you to do. We are experts and we're bringing in other experts to help you develop, but you're the ones who need to do the work. And it's also about how you evolve, in that you're not all starting from the same place and you won't all finish in the same place. No. But what we're going to try and assess is the distance that you travel.
Yeah.
So whilst that might feel like there's not a kind of defined threshold that you have to get over, we're looking to see progression. We're looking to see what you can achieve with what you have, because actually that's how innovators and entrepreneurs work. They don't all start from the same place. They're all trying to create value from the things they have at their disposal.
And the way we do that, right, it's a hard thing to evaluate, is through reflection. So we ask you to start thinking about how you've developed, and we use that as a point of assessment, right, or a point of evaluation. Also, if you look at the way we've structured this entire thing, it's about trying it. You're probably going to get it wrong. You are going to get it wrong. You are going to fail. But that's the point. We always fail, and then we keep on going. There is no right way to do any of this. There is a level that we are looking for in terms of professionality in the way that it connects between place, people, and location. But this is a chance to try this, right? With a real world client where it's not the end of the world if we don't quite get it right. Okay? We don't get it right all the time, so we wouldn't expect you to.
If you can show us a good process and you can show us that you've learned, we'll do well on this unit. It is as simple as that.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay, so just really briefly, it's going to be really important this year to think about our organisation. I mean, it always is, right? It always is. Personally, as someone with an ADHD and dyslexia, I have to be very, very organised using tools to replace the parts of me that can't do it mentally. Okay, this is true of everyone to an extent. We use computers, pencils, pages, colours, tabs to replace part of our memory, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, I use imagery a lot. So the fact this slide came up with that colour, it reminded me I was going to talk about organisation, and it triggered that in my head. So, ways of organising. You've got a calendar, you have to use it, and you have to use the Microsoft whenever you can, because you are all on Microsoft 365. I know there's a million times better platforms, but be consistent, right? If you're all going to use Google, all use Google. If you're going to all use Outlook, always use Outlook, but be consistent. Storage, you get nearly a terabyte, I think, on the OneDrive at uni. Use it, abuse it. There's millions of different kind of add-ons that you can move stuff across. You have no excuse not to have stuff backed up off-site. None. When I was starting out, I remember buying like a drive that I think was 250 megabytes that cost me 60 quid and it didn't really work. Right now, you have terabytes for free. You have no excuse. Okay. Email, please just be consistent with the platform you're using. Use Outlook, it's your uni email. It's really important. It also gives you a certain amount of gravitas having Bristol as your email. Just does. A certain amount of cultural capital, okay, having bristol.ac, so use that. Organisation, sorry, I don't know if I got that twice. So, really geekily, you're going to be using most of this stuff on your computer because we're going to be talking. I personally take lots of notes, handwritten notes, but if I'm doing stuff on the computer, I'm very, very careful about how I organize. So the reason we do this is we're using folder structures and file naming to structure for search in the future. So you are going to try and search for a file in 10 years. How do you find it? Okay. I know that sounds crazy, but I was at uni in 2001, right? Oh, actually, let me just go back to that one. Sorry, backing up was quite good. So the backing up one was rule of three. Computer scientists know this. You have 2 physical backups on location, and you have a 3rd backup that's off-site. My mate, what he does is get a hard drive, he seals it in a Tupperware thing with silicon, and he buries it basically somewhere in an attic with silicon gel. Because if it all went wrong, he spent 40 quid on a hard drive that has his entire life backed up on. I'm just saying. So I have a confession. I am a folder geek. If you look on the right, that is one of my servers where I have got my artwork on, for example, rather than my academic. I did my master's in 2007. So if I wanted to find a project, a specific audio file and a specific project for 2007, it takes me 2 seconds to do it because I have structured it for myself to be able to find that file. Although to be fair, my master's wasn't quite as consistent as I got a lot better with file naming. Right, just this, right? We've all had it, we've all done it, but it's the moment where you have to hand the thing in and you've got that 10 minutes and it's going to be fine. And then your computer goes, I've updated, sorry. Or a small component's blown up or it gets nicked or you drop your coffee on it or you can't find it or this all day, right? So what does that mean for you? It means you have to have backup plans and backup plans, okay? I can't emphasize this enough. It says in our regulations that if your computer dies or you lose data, that is not a reason you can extend or complain, basically, to an extent. If it's computer failure, it's your fault. So plan for it. I do. If I throw my computer out the window right now, aside from being very upset I got rid of my Mac, I would be able to start again on a new computer instantly, right? Well, once I've downloaded a couple of programs. But none of my files are not backed up because of the amount of times I've lost making stuff. Okay, so I didn't want to just leave it on that, but
I think the lesson of all of this piece about organization is you're going to be learning a whole bunch of new stuff with a whole lot of new systems. My brain is like a teacup that is permanently overflowing. Think about how you can use systems, lists, emails, calendars consistently, file systems, so that actually you've got a second brain, you've got a backup.
Yeah.
And even if your first brain, which it will at certain points, feels like it's absolutely just overflowing with stuff and can't cope, actually you could just open your second brain and it's all there, nicely organized, and you can find it. Like we talk about this idea of kind of creative discipline, and that's because being a creative is not just about just throwing stuff around and making it up as you go along. Like being a professional creative, being an innovator, being an entrepreneur actually requires a level of discipline. And some of this comes down to organizing yourself, having those lists, sorting your diary out, so that actually those don't become excuses for not getting things done.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to reduce the barriers between thought and action.
Yeah.
So actually, anything that you can do right now that just helps set you up for the year, and it's also worth comparing notes with the people around you. We'll do this a little bit in class. Find the right processes, and it will just really help you this year.
Absolutely. And it might be Post-its, might be bits of paper, but just start thinking about it. And that's the other thing. Don't feel pressure that you're like, I don't have a perfect system. I've been working on one for 25 years, right? But it's still shit. Excuse my language. It's still not perfect.
But it's a start.
It's a start, right? Okay, well, we're going to end it there, and we're going to see you guys, Dave, what time of day? Dyslexic brain.
It'll be Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock.
We'll see you at Tuesday, 2 o'clock. All right, bye, Dave.